From the towering Wasatch Mountains of the American Southwest, we welcome you to this episode of Undiscovered Utah. This show focuses on the mysteries that surround the rugged, difficult, and sometimes deadly American Southwest. I'm your host, JD, and in tonight's episode, we take you to the rugged landscapes of southern Utah, a land of awe-inspiring beauty and equally intense challenges. Our story follows a woman named Victoria Grover, who in April of 2012 became stranded and injured in a remote canyon and survived for days with minimal supplies. Her journey is one of endurance, grit, and the sheer will to survive, reminding us of the immense power of the human spirit when faced with life and death situations. To understand Victoria's story, let's first paint a picture of where this all took place. Southern Utah is known for its red rock canyons, expansive desert plains, and deep slot canyons. It is a paradise for adventure seekers, but can quickly become a nightmare for the unprepared. This remote wilderness, especially in the area near Boulder Mountain and Escalante, Utah, offers unique challenges, and it was into this vast landscape that Victoria ventured alone. The Boulder Mountain area is no ordinary hiking spot. It is filled with challenging terrains, narrow canyon paths, steep cliffs, and little, if no, access to water. For the experienced hiker, this region offers exciting adventures, but it also is known for its isolation. Few trails are marked. Cell service is non-existent, and changes in the landscape due to weather can make navigation unpredictable. Victoria Grover was no stranger to the outdoors. As a 59-year-old physician assistant from Maine, she had hiked extensively and was generally cautious in her expeditions. But this time, things would take a different turn. Now, let's talk a little bit about Victoria's background. She wasn't your typical weekend hiker. She had a lot of experience, which in fact would play a significant role in her survival. As a physician's assistant by trade, Victoria was also known for her deep love of nature. Her friends described her as resilient, practical, and knowledgeable about first aid, which you will see would become crucial. Victoria's training in medicine was a hidden asset. While she wasn't carrying a full first aid kit, her knowledge of injuries, infection prevention, and the human body helped her stay calm and make strategic choices during her ordeal. Victoria embarked on her trip planning for a one-day hike. She didn't pack for a prolonged stay or carry any advanced survival gear. She had some food, a small amount of water, and a couple of essentials, but nothing to prepare her for days of being stranded. At the time, it felt like a reasonable decision, given that she had only planned a short hike. But as we will see, even experienced hikers can quickly find themselves in unforeseen situations. On April 26, 2012, Victoria set out on what was supposed to be a day hike. Her goal was a nearby canyon that wasn't too far off her planned route, and she expected to return to her starting point by the end of the day. But as she navigated through the rough terrain, her day took an unexpected turn. Victoria's hike started out smoothly. She moved confidently through the rocky landscape, absorbing the beauty around her. It was a bright, sunny day, perfect weather for exploring the canyon. She felt that familiar sense of awe as she walked, taking in the high canyon walls and the vivid red rocks of southern Utah. But that's the thing about the wilderness. It's incredibly beautiful, yet it can change on you in an instant, and soon Victoria's footing gave way. As she was navigating through a narrow passage, she tripped and fell, tumbling down an embankment and crashing into the rocky floor below. The pain was immediate and intense. Victoria quickly realized that her leg was badly hurt. Her fall had resulted in a broken leg, which left her unable to stand or walk. In an instant, a one-day hike became a life-threatening ordeal. With a broken leg, Victoria's options were severely limited. Moving any significant distance on foot was now impossible, and she knew she was miles from any nearby road. She had no way of reaching help. She was truly all alone, facing days of isolation in an unforgiving landscape. The initial hours after the injury were critical. Victoria assessed her situation, managing to remain calm despite her intense pain. She looked through her supplies, trying to figure out how long she could last with what little she had. Victoria's ordeal was just beginning. She set up a small area for herself to rest and tried to make herself as comfortable as possible, giving her limited options. For the next 3 days, Victoria relied on her small stash of food and water, rationing carefully. She found a shaded spot in the canyon, knowing that during the day the temperatures could become dangerously hot, while the nights would bring extreme cold. With her broken leg, she barely slept, the pain preventing her from getting the rest that she desperately needed. Over time, the lack of proper shelter and her worsening pain from her injured leg began to take a toll. She was growing weaker and more dehydrated. But despite the severity of her situation, she clung to hope. She kept her mind focused, knowing that panicking would only worsen her chances of survival. Back home, Victoria's friends and family had expected her to return that evening and give them a call. As the hours passed, there was no word from her. They grew increasingly concerned. She was always reliable, and her absence was alarming. By the next day, her family and friends had contacted the local authorities in Utah. Search and rescue teams were mobilized, and the hunt for Victoria had begun. The team had their work cut out for them as they were dealing with a vast area of very rugged terrain. The rescuers knew that the clock was ticking. The longer Victoria was out there, the greater the risk. They used every resource available, including helicopters, to try to locate her. But it was like looking for a needle in a massive haystack. The rescuers spread out, sweeping the region where they believed she could have been. As they searched, they called her name, hoping that she might be able to respond. After 3 days of waiting, Victoria's condition was deteriorating. She was weak from dehydration and the pain of her injury. But finally, On the afternoon of April 29th, her prayers were answered. A helicopter circled above, and she used the last of her energy to wave her arms in the air. By a stroke of luck, the pilot saw her. The rescue team immediately swooped down and brought her to safety. Victoria was airlifted to the nearest hospital, where she received the medical care she desperately needed. Her ordeal was over. But it would be a long recovery, both physically and emotionally. Victoria's experience serves as a powerful reminder of the unpredictable nature of the outdoors and the importance of being prepared. Even seasoned hikers can find themselves in life-threatening situations. This isn't just a story of survival. It is a story of resilience, grit, and the determination to stay alive, even when the odds seem insurmountable. Since her rescue, Victoria has shared her story as a lesson for others. She encourages hikers to always tell someone their route, to carry more supplies than they think they need, and to understand that nature, while beautiful, can be very unforgiving. Thank you for joining us on this episode of Undiscovered Utah. Remember, even the most experienced outdoorsman can face unexpected challenges. Stay safe, respect nature, and always be prepared for the unexpected. If you've enjoyed today's show, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this episode with anyone who enjoys exploring. Please join me next time as we share more about the Great Southwest. Good night, everybody.